topic of customer experience is not something new. We've been talking about it in the past decade. But I think it's extremely important, especially in the post-COVID world. Insurers are facing with interconnected challenges today. There's shifting consumer requirements. Essentially, consumers have different expectations of how they engage with insurers today. In fact, in our survey, it shows that interactions with insurers has very, very low frequency. It ranges from 1 to 2 times a year to 15 times a year. Whereas comparing to other industries like e-commerce player or players like Facebook, is multiple times a day. So how does insurers think about their interactions and their relationship with consumers? In another survey that we did, customer satisfaction for insurers traditionally is lower than even financial services. So how do we address that and really reinventing our experiences with the consumer? On top of that, there's also regulation changes. So there's pressures of new laws, which includes on how we think about consumer data, how do we think about privacy, also interest rate changes. There's also technology developments, which my colleagues spoke about. The technology from AI, from cloud, from automation, this is really changing the way of how insurers should be thinking about reinventing their capabilities. There's also new competitions from attackers, many of which are internet natives, that's reinventing and redefining their relationship with consumers on insurance. So with all of this, what should insurers do? And this is really, really not just about the engagement layers of consumers. This also has to do with how insurers should be thinking about reinventing their end-to-end proposition. Some of this actually go as far as the need to build new ecosystems. And ecosystems help insurers to rethink their value proposition, reinvent the service delivery, thereby refinding new levers for value proposition and also advancing their business model. So insurers really need to reinvent the core capabilities. And from this, we think about broadly 3 different layers. The first is really personalize every aspect of customer experience. So this has to do with shifting the relationship from product to the broader health management, life management. This also has to do with the capability around, how do we reinvent underwriting capability? How do we do a personalized omni-channel customer journey that's, micro-segmentation based? This also has to do with, developing new flexible product solutions that's actually fitting the new regulatory environment and also the interest rate environment. So there's new shifts on how we should think about product beyond just product, but really the value-added services and also non-monetary benefits that is value-adding to consumers. And lastly, this has to do with how insurers should be thinking about reinventing their skills and capabilities, right? So this actually requires a different set of skill workforce, which my colleague Quayleen just talked about. This also has to do with, thinking about how do we build different building blocks that's actually quite agile in the way of working, that's actually quite different in terms of how we think about the speed to respond. So what are the value creation and value added services as we think about reinventing some of these capabilities when it comes to consumer engagement and also benefits for insurers? So if we look at the next chart, you'll see essentially there's 8 broad benefits that we think, both to the consumers and also to the insurers. The first is really by reinventing these capabilities, it helps the increase of access and convenience, right? So seamless experience for consumer, end to end, that's going to lift up customer satisfaction by 10 to 20 points. So pretty significant in terms of impact. This also means that, obtaining mass customized personal offerings, right? A lot of this is actually enabled by new data sources, new sources of insights that we get via partnership and by creating new proposition. The third benefit is really enhanced benefit on cost of serving and also lower cost of acquisition. Again, this is really being able to customize the proposition and how we think about the omni-channel strategy for customers. This also helps in terms of getting the customer the product in the moment of need, right? So how do we tailor our proposition so that it's more micro product, it's also more scenario based, it's also more life stage based, right? So customers think of us at the moment of need, and we're actually value adding in those moments of need. In terms of the value creation to ensure, this is really also helping to strengthen the core businesses. For example, typically we see that this helps on 10 to 15% increase in sales conversion and also 20% uplift in terms of cross-selling. This also helps insurers to tap into new sources of value where traditionally it's not enabled from traditional business models. This also helps to fundamentally change and shape the relationship with customers. So we're not disintermediated by other channels. We actually own the customer's engagement. We actually have a more personalized and warm relationship with customers. And last but not least, there's in several markets, new propositions like this actually helps insurers to get higher market valuation, which is a new sources of value creation.